Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 1 in a best of 3 series between WhiteRa and Mousesports' ThorZain. This game was taken place last weekend at the European Battle.net Invitationals for StarCraft 2. And it is my misfortune to tell you that this will be the last game from the Battle.net Invitational that I think I'll be able to cast. Apparently, Blizzard has taken down the rest of the replays, so I only have round 1. I wasn't smart enough to download and get all of the games for you guys beforehand, so you guys will just have to, just watch the VODs if they are ever made available. As we can now see this game get underway, WhiteRa spawning as the red Protoss player on the bottom left-hand side of the map. You may know him as DuckloadRa. He really goes by WhiteRa. Meanwhile, ThorZain spawning on the bottom left-hand side for WhiteRa, top right-hand side for ThorZain. ThorZain is the blue Terran. Terran versus Protoss here on Shakuras Plateau, and we'll see what comes of this. We are going to be getting perhaps a supply depot built back over here. A barrack should be built over here at some point, and then perhaps a bunker a little bit later. Meanwhile, we are seeing a gateway now being placed down by WhiteRa. WhiteRa opening up the pretty standard build, nothing too cheesy coming in from either of these players, as this is going to be a pretty interesting game, I believe. We are now going into that assimilator as well. We should be getting up a pylon right behind it, and after that pylon, a cybernetics core. Now, the state of the game, Terran versus Protoss, pretty interesting in that that there's a lot of different strategies now available for Terran players to use. Terran players a little bit before were trying to expand, trying to figure out what they can do, and really Terran players I've seen being a little bit more conservative as of late, trying to go for that 1-1-1 build or that double racks opening with Tech Lab and a reactor, getting stim timing pushes, using that to their advantage. But interestingly enough, we are not getting a refinery down, so we are training up a marine. A probe is going to spot this, and WhiteRa will know that his opponent is going for a very, very fast expansion. Taking a look inside, the probe takes a look around, and now there is that command center. So ThorZain completely throwing caution to the wind this time around. That marine getting a lot of damage onto the probe. Is it going to be able to shut it down before the probe does escape? And one more shot will do it. So one more shot, and does he spot it? He does not spot the command center, so that probe just outside of sight range there. And now WhiteRa going to be forced to figure out what exactly the strategy is. He is going to set up another proxy pylon here. WhiteRa pretty much knows either it is going to be a fast expansion or perhaps a double racks marine pressure on that front door. So WhiteRa now looking across the map, trying to figure out what is really going down. He did spot the SCV of ThorZain coming down here to set up a command center. So most likely he does suspect that. We currently have 2 Marines, a 3rd Marine now going to get underway. We are going to go into another barracks as well. So we really need 4 Marines to really fight back this push here. That Zealot just going to run straight up that ramp. There are going to be 3 Marines to deal with. So those 3 Marines should be able to focus fire this one Zealot. We are getting a Stalker bringing up the rear. The Stalker does move significantly faster, so that Zealot and that Stalker should get there in just the same amount of time. The Marine now going to start shooting at that one Zealot. The Zealot already taking 1 round of fire, and now backing off. This bunker, however, will take a little bit more time to complete, and whether or not WhiteRa will be able to punish this is a key question. You can see the Stalker and the Zealot now trying to make their way up the ramp, trying to split up that micro there. The SCV came off the off the bunker, and wow, that was a little bit of a weird move there, not finishing up that bunker. But ThorZain with a very, very nice micro, able to shut down the Zealot, and then also get up that bunker in place. And WhiteRa really with no counter to this, really going to be forced to set up a nexus of his own, but it should give a slight economic advantage to ThorZain. ThorZain does have 2 mules in play. Those 2 mules giving him a very, very strong mineral economy at this stage, as we are now going to go into a double gas play as well. Going to get perhaps 3 harvesters in that refinery at some point in time. I don't know if ThorZain is purposely only mining with 2 in each of these refineries for any particular reason, as we are now going into stim pack and perhaps combat shield shortly after. So ThorZain getting in a lot of minerals. He will be able to dump out and train up a whole bunch of Marines. He is currently supply blocked at 38 over 38. Another supply depot will be finished here. Another supply depot already being built as well. So this is definitely going to change things up just a little bit. Not quite sure why why things are always so choppy whenever I move around. Perhaps I will try to limit my choppiness. Yeah, whenever I'm trying to control the camera, I'm trying to keep things smooth for you guys, but for some reason it doesn't always work out that way. When I do get excited and I try to shake the camera, I know it does get a little bit blurry. Anyways, we are moving into a 3-gate with a robotics facility. A forge also coming into play as well. So 4 or 3 gateways, 1 robo facility. An observer needs to be trained as we are now transitioning. WhiteRa still doesn't know what his opponent is truly going for yet. As you can now see the factory coming into play, pretty standard as we are getting into Marauders and double training up Marines. ThorZain sitting on a very large army, sitting on a very strong economy as well. And he should be able to simply macro up sometime around the 10-minute mark, I would assume at this point. Judging on his army composition, he will be able to move out and perhaps get in some sort of damage with with those stim and marauders. He does definitely need to get a starport and double train up some medevacs and also get a reactor as well, but he is currently gas locked, so we'll see what comes of this in just a moment. More zealots and sentries now being added. Armor upgrades now coming in from WhiteRa. So WhiteRa hoping to use Guardian Shield and get in a lot of damage. WhiteRa, is he actually going to use? Yes, he's going to use some Warp Prism harassment tactics. And this is something that you normally don't see. So what we're going to see is perhaps a Warp Prism try to drop in and effectively drop in a lot of zealots into the mineral line. Those zealots do take 3 shots, I believe, to shut down an SCV. But with that many zealots, they should be able to get in a lot of damage and perhaps disrupt some mining. We are getting that starport that I mentioned. It should be lifting off and then swapping places with that factory in order to get double medevacs out. But we are going to be seeing this drop now come in. Perhaps another round of warp in for even more zealots could come in, and this may be a definite problem, as we're going to see the missile turret start shooting at that one warp prism there, now just outside of range. There you go, dropping in one zealot and 1 zealot only. Responding with 1 zealot only here, going after those SCVs. The SCVs are currently just getting harassed, and now in come a bunch of Marines to shut down this zealot there. A lot more damage could have been had, but I think WhiteRa just trying to keep ThorZain honest and keep ThorZain's very large army back inside his base, as he is just trying to buy time. And by buying time, he's going to be able to get perhaps some Templars, the Templar archives up, get him some High Templar, and also get in Psystorm. He definitely needs Psystorm, otherwise he is going to fall to the mass bio army of ThorZain. As you can now see, the army is in fact moving out, and now the Stalker is going to perhaps catch this. There are 2 observers nearby, so the observers are catching this army in transit. Templar Archives about to be completed, but that means that the Psystorm will not be completed anytime soon. Level 1 weapons upgrade, perhaps going to be chrono boosted out as well. That could have a very drastic impact. Absolutely no Psystorm and no Colossi. This is going to be a very difficult battle to have, as the Marines shutting down 1 proxy pylon very easily, and now can continue this push. The sentries need to get in some force fields to try to split up this ramp, but then they will just be able to come in along this side. Where are those force fields? Now finally engaging. There's the force fields coming in. The Guardian Shield protecting many of those units. Once again, WhiteRa coming in with another Guardian Shield, but the Marines and the Marauders may be doing a little bit too much damage. They do have that level 1 weapons upgrade. A bit of an exchange there, and I think WhiteRa was never truly in control of this game, as the Marines and the Marauders now simply walk inside this base, getting in a lot more damage, and with no true damage dealt and no real way of delaying this attack. ThorZain walking in with just a very effective stim timing push after the expansion was laid down, getting in a very strong economy, and just so much damage to be had. A Forge now getting shot down as well. Zealots now once again warping back into play. The 2 medevacs are very low on energy. They're not going to be able to keep up the Marauders and the Marines alive for another round of gateway units, but that may not matter at all. The Marauders quickly jumping inside, and now you can see the probes are going to go back to work. A new round of fresh army once again ready to engage. ThorZain just happy that he was able to attack and not have to deal with Psystorm or Colossi. And I think this delay in the Observer was really the issue from WhiteRa. WhiteRa not knowing that there was going to be this large, massive Bio Army. Bio Army is a glass cannon, essentially. Very high DPS. but very, very low hit points. Mass AoE does definitely shut it down. The observers are keeping track of this army, but I believe ThorZain, if he just gets in one more command center, he could expand right behind this as well and continue to just lay down the pressure. 70 SCVs versus 38. Unless WhiteRa does some absolute magic, I'm not sure what can be done. There are also Immortals as well. Observers quickly getting destroyed there after the scanner sweep, as we are now getting some Hellions here as well. We are getting a couple proxy pylons. WhiteRa could try to warp in units and get them up this ramp, but ThorZain with so much production, and I believe all the barracks are now rallied straight into the battlefield. This is going to be very difficult for WhiteRa to really try to counter. WhiteRa still running off of 2 bases, and we'll see what ThorZain tries to follow this up with. He should be getting in a command center. Yes, he is building an additional command center, but where is it? Over here. Perhaps to land and take this location in just a moment, and now getting up another command center as well. So double expanding into the late game just in case this next battle has some crazy micro and somehow WhiteRa is able to fend this off. We do have a couple Archons, 2 Archons, 4 Archons in play. Very effective against that bio army. The range is at 3. So that definitely will help. Range of 3, able to get in damage a little bit more quickly. But there are so many ghosts that the ghost with just massive amounts of EMP shockwave would be able to deplete all the energy on these shields, or on the shields of these Archons in just 1 or 2 rounds. You can now see what a Medevac and Vikings now making their way off over here. It looks as though ThorZain still has 6 of these ghosts, and now in comes EMP, massive EMP shockwaves, and that's got to be the GG, losing so many of those Archons that early in the battle. You can see ThorZain stimming up a very, very large army here, shutting down the Immortal, shutting down that last Archon. And I believe the GG will be coming in. Still a very decent trade considering the sizes of both armies. But ThorZain now getting a fresh group of reinforcements of Marauders. The Medevacs will be able to heal all of these units up once more. And we'll see what will be happening next. Planetary Fortress has been established here. Another command center being lifted off and trying to be established here. WhiteRa's only real chance was the hope that ThorZain forgot to expand and then claw his way back into this game very, very slowly. You can see now the food difference, 92 versus 150. A 50% food difference between these armies here, as this now command center will be landing. A Zealot will get easily taken down. That proxy pylon will be destroyed in just a moment. ThorZain wanting to make sure he doesn't lose any of his workers, as there is a planetary fortress here. 3 harvesters being established each here as an observer now on the inside of this base. We'll see what will be happening as these Archons at level 2 armor upgrades and the Zealots at level 2 armor, but the Archons really not benefiting from that Protoss armor upgrade at all. Medevacs, Marauders, Marines, Hellions, this massive bio army, not using the mech style that has recently been made popular by Slayers S. And now in comes this engagement. Are we going to get some EMP? Yes, EMP across multiple Zealots. Now using that stutter step, another round of EMP. But all of the Medevacs also losing their energy as well. So that was a bit of a mistake. But I think ThorZain still has enough of an army to shut this down. 1 ghost barely able to run away, down to 1 hit point. The Archon could have gotten 1 more attack, 1 more kill there to finish it off, but there is the GG. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay and game 1 in a best of 3 series between Mouse Sports' ThorZain and WhiteRa here on Shakuras Plateau.